Glad that you all are here. Just welcome you. Those of you who are upstairs in the room, maybe you're here for the first time. We're really glad that you're here with us this morning. Those of you who are watching online, welcome. We're glad you're here. I wanted to give you all just a little update. We've had a project going on since September-ish. Outside here, if you look out the windows or see outside when you're leaving, this whole area out there, we're calling the 807 Commons, and this is an area that is for our community, and we're going to transform it. We're in the process of that, and make this a place for our community, for your friends, family, people you work with, to be able to come, be together, build relationships, and we're in the process of that here this week. That shipping container out there is going to get painted, and then we're going to put a fence around a portion of this. And then the last part of this that we're investing resources in is turf. So if y'all love some turf, give some money, man. We're going to make this happen. And the sooner the better, because we're going to be able to use it. We keep getting requests probably every other week to use our facility. And so this is just one of the things for us that we want to continue to do, is use what God's given to us to bless our community. When people ask, well, can we use it for this? I met with a lady this week for, they have a homeschool group, and they talked about being able to use this downstairs for like an hour a week. And it's like, how much do you charge? We don't charge, but we do want to tell you about what we're doing, and we'd love for you to donate so that we can help more people and really bless our community. And the same will go for out there as well. So we'd love for you to be a part of that. When it comes to giving, we appreciate those. We're in this together. Those of you who One Life's your family, that's your church family, this is just how we live, of knowing that we're here to bless other people. And so that's updates on that. We're just going to continue on in that. And then a couple announcements. One, next Sunday is Father's Day. So bring a dad, all right? So maybe a coworker you work with that's a dad, bring him. Bring a neighbor, another family member who's a dad. Just bring a dad next week. We're going to honor fathers next week. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to have Ice Cream Sunday. We've been doing this every month. Ice cream truck will come out Sunday when we get done. Load your kids up on a bunch of ice cream. They can have as much as they want. It doesn't cost anything. Bring somebody with you. That Sunday will be a whole lot of fun. And that also, the 23rd, is when we're going to begin our summer community groups. Only last for about 5-6 weeks, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. If you're not in community, let us know. That Connect card that Emily talked about, you can just write on there, community. I'm interested in community, and we love to get you plugged into some of the communities that are currently happening. We've been in this series, Beyond the Numbers, and today's the last day of it, and I just want to start out this week like I have the last 2 weeks and ask you the question, how many of you could use some more money? Anybody? Yeah, okay, so I think we all could, and what we do with that, I mean, it really is up to us, and we started out a couple weeks ago talking about this and about perspective. Perspective when it comes to money, having more money, what we do with that money, and also the perspective and understanding that we have a spiritual enemy who knows that we are easily tempted to lose our perspective when it comes to money. And before we know it, we can end up serving money and loving money. And we didn't even mean to, but it is a temptation, and it's very real. And last week we talked about the word priority and how culture over time, we've now changed our life where we don't have a priority, but we have priorities. And it's not true. Priority means that something is first and everything else comes after that. And so last week we talked a little bit about, when you came in last week, everybody got an envelope, and in that envelope was $10. And we talked about the fact that when it comes to money, we have to decide, how do we prioritize what we do with this? And it says on here, in God we trust, but do we really trust him? And do we have faith to put him first? And when we give out of faith to God what first comes to us, it really shows that he is the priority in our lives. So this week, I want to make a connection between this and what really matters. Because when our lives are over, we're going to leave this. And some of us are going to leave a lot of this, and some of us aren't going to leave any. Right? And, we'll leave a lot of things that this buys. We'll leave that behind. And in that, just knowing and realizing, like, we're going to leave this behind, this paper. But what lasts is people. And for us to really understand that we have a choice in our life, that we can live lives using this to better my life or to bless other people. So when it comes to this and really looking at what's beyond the numbers, we're reminded Jesus' mission when he came here wasn't to accumulate a lot of this. His mission was people. Jesus, when you think about this, and Jesus from the beginning, and everything's good, and he sees all that has happened in man's rebellion, and then over centuries and centuries and centuries, and then when the time had fully come, Jesus comes here in the flesh, lives a perfect life. Jesus came to seek and save the lost. He came to serve, not to be served. He came to give his life as a ransom for us. He who knew no sin, who was perfect, he became sin, took on our sin, so that we might become right with God. Jesus, he gave his life. And in this, in his life that he lived here, he showed us a secret. He showed us a secret in how to live life to the fullest. And it's a statement that he made that's referred to in the book of Acts. And Jesus said this: "It is more blessed to give than to receive." This word, blessed, makarios, it means happy, to be envied. And now we throw this around a whole lot we do this, you go somewhere, you pull up in the front row parking spot, and it's like, #blessed. You win at a scratch off, #blessed. All these different scenarios in life, we throw this around. You get pulled over for speeding, and you just get a warning. #blessed. I'm blessed, highly favored. And we really need to get an understanding of what this means and what Jesus said. Happier are those who give than receive. So this root word here, makarios, it means long and larger. And to understand that being blessed is God extending his favor. It's when a follower of Jesus is in a fortunate position that God has extended his grace on our lives. And the truth is that God's blessing is connected when we're prompted by faith to follow God's direction. Because we can see this where Jesus says it's more blessed to give than receive, but he also said this. He said, "Blessed are those who hear the word of God and obey it." Walking by faith and obeying God are so closely associated with being blessed. So in essence, we're here in this life to live life by faith in the Son of God who loved us and gave himself for us. Out of love, we follow and obey, and we extend God's blessing beyond ourselves to the people around us. It is more blessed to give than to receive. We're happier. I don't know about you, but we're happier when we're giving and extending God's kindness, his mercy, his grace, his love to the people around us. We are happier when we do that. So it's been like this from the beginning. If you have a Bible, I just want you to open up to Genesis chapter 1, and we're just seriously, the very beginning, and I'm gonna go through this super fast so that we can understand, this is a connected story. Your life is your life, my life's my life, but it's all connected in a much larger story. And if we look from the very beginning, God creates what is here. Sun, moon, stars, trees, land, seas, separates all of this. And then I'm going to pick this up because we talked about this last week, Genesis 1:27 here. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. God blessed them. There it is. God blesses them. He says, be fruitful and multiply, increase, fill the earth. I'm giving you all of this. Rule over this, reign over this, have dominion over all of this. It's yours. And in that, like we talked about last week, Adam and Eve, they're like, yes, but there's this one tree. You told us not to eat from it, but we want what we want. We think we know what's best for us, so we're going to do what we want to do because we think you're holding out on us. And from that point on, sin enters the picture and life becomes broken. Death enters in. Disease enters in. What was perfect is now broken. Fast forward through this whole thing and you can flip over to Genesis chapter 12, just a few pages. I want you to see this. Later on, there's a guy by the name of Abram. At this point in his life, he's 75 years old. He has no children, all right? Genesis 12, the Lord said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous. You will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on the earth will be blessed through you. Abram's blessing wasn't just for him. God's blessing wasn't to be contained. It was to continue on. It would be extended and have this reach, this length that would go long and far throughout the earth. What I want us to remember is that God's blessing isn't just for me, but to extend through me. God's blessing, it's not just for me, but to extend through me. This is from the very beginning. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And God tells Abram that he will have children and they'll inherit this land that he's now in. And there's this covenant between God and Abram. If you flip a couple more pages to Genesis chapter 15. Sometime later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said, do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you and your reward will be great. And Abram has been following God, going to this place. He didn't know where he was going, just following God. And he hasn't had any children. So he has questions like, God, you say that you're going to bless through me. My children are going to inherit this land. I don't have any kids. Verse 5, Genesis 15. Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, look up at the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have. And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. This faith in trusting God, living a life of blessing requires faith and obedience in following God. In Hebrews, it says this, it was by faith that Abram obeyed when God called him to leave home and go to another land that God would give him as his inheritance. He went without knowing where he was going, and even when he reached the land God promised him, he lived there by faith. For he was like a foreigner living in tents, and so did his son Isaac and Isaac's son Jacob, who inherited the same promise. My faith in God today, it paves the way into the future. And God's blessing, see, it isn't just for me, but it extends through me because it is more blessed to give than receive. So if there's anyone that I know closely that really has been living this out for some time, it's this guy. I know, yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. So I wanted to take some time this morning and talk about this because I think it's important for us to understand that this isn't just a guy named Abram. This is you and me. When you look up at the stars, you are one of his descendants. If you're a follower of Jesus, you are one of his descendants. This summer, when you go to the beach and you see the sand on the shore, and God tells Abram later on, he says, your descendants will be as numerous as the grains of sand on the seashore. That's speaking of you and me. So in this, we first met in 2020 on a Wednesday night because we had a Wednesday night gathering. And Drew and his wife, Monica, they were sitting like right over there, I remember. And I remember coming up to him and meeting him. And then COVID, so we got shut down. And then after COVID, Drew came to me and he said, I need to get baptized. God's changed my life. He's radically changed you couldn't even talk about Jesus without crying.
No, I still can't.
I know. And so Drew was baptized. We started meeting every week and just talking. And one of the things that I noticed early on, like in our conversations, was Drew's perspective when it came to this money and generosity. And so I just wanted to share, I wanted you to share a little bit about, because at that time, Drew was a salesman. He was selling RVs, which if any of you know Drew, he's not a salesman. He's basically like, do you like it or not? That's kind of like how he is, you know? I'm not, you want me to cut you a deal? This is the deal here, you know? But just like what life was like and how you were living generous, even selling RVs.
Well, it's kind of hard to start. Well, so when I was selling RVs, I'm real weird about money. Me and Monica, my wife, we were trying to get out of debt. So I started taking an allowance. And that's how I started. It's if I know I put this money in my wallet, this is all I spend until next payday. And it'd be $100. And over time, I started looking at it and going do I really need the whole 100? All I'm buying is sodas or odds and ends, maybe a snack here or there. And I really didn't need it. So I started taking $20 of that 100. And I'm this is God's money. This is not mine. And my desk was located right across from the soda machines. So I made up in my mind that I was going to start buying people sodas. And I'd wait for these guys to come in. And if you slid your card, it would charge you $2.50. And I was dude, don't slide your card. You're going to pay 50 cents more than you have to for the soda. And they'd be well, I don't got cash. I'm well, I do. Let me buy your soda. And then I would go slide my card and get soda. So that's kind of how I rolled. But these guys, over time, I started with just buying these guys sodas. And then over time, there's these guys on the wash bay. And they would clean these RVs. And it'd be I don't know, 100, 104 out there washing these giant RVs. And I noticed that, first of all, I started noticing that they had holes in their shoes. And I thought to myself about back when I was a soldier, how much I hated when my feet were wet. And these guys' feet would be soaked. So I bought them shoes. And then I remember talking to my boss, and he was I'm never buying these guys Gatorade. They could drink water. It's no big deal. So I started buying them Gatorade, pallets of it. And then So I can't take like all the credit for this too, because my wife helped out with this too. I remember so many times that I just call her up. It's like, these guys are out of Gatorade. She's like, I'm on my way to Sam. Give them some more Gatorade. But over time, like, it like started this like ministry opportunity with these men. And I wanted to know that I saw that they were seen. Because it's really hard to convince somebody that a God they can't see sees them if you don't see them. And so over time, like I just kept on like doing this, buying sodas, buying Gatorade, buying shoes.
Let me ask you,
Yeah, sure.
because I think it's important. Because in RV sales, it's not like you're making the same amount every month.
No.
It's like, so how did that, I mean, like how much would you make in 1 month, you know, and then the other month, you know? Like, just an idea.
Most of the time, like on average, I was making like, even if I was kind of like halfway going at it, I was making $6-7 grand. And that was me like kind of like pumping the brakes and like just chilling. But there were months I made as much as $14,000 in a month.
So, but like in your perspective though, in that when you made more, I believe this, it wasn't like that's more for me.
No, it was more for other people.
So in that, just the understanding of like, you know, God is blessing you with more and you're seeing money as like, this is God's. And so you knew that the more that God blessed you, the more you were in a way expected to bless other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It even got to a point where one of the guys that got the car stolen, actually funny story, is that he was a part of Celebrate Recovery, and he does like a recovery ministry. And him and his wife were down in Dallas, and they don't make much money either, so they didn't stay in the nicest places. And the morning before having to leave for their ministry opportunity with Celebrate Recovery in Dallas, he walks out and his car was gone. Like someone stole it. And he told his wife, goes in there, she's freaking out, and he goes like, God's good, we'll just get a cab. We're not gonna miss this. Well, he ends up coming back home, and he's visiting with me, and I'm like, dude, I had a really good month, I wanna help you out. I can't buy you a new car, but here, take this. And I gave him like $500. And strange thing, that afternoon, the police were able to recover his car. But whenever they steal a car, like they jacked up with the locks, they messed up with the steering column and all this other stuff. And he goes down to Dallas and he's not even sure how he's gonna drive this back. And so he took it to like a local mechanic down there. And they're like, yeah, I could probably get it fixed for $500. And sure enough, got it fixed, drove it home. So like, I don't know, it's just being obedient. And even those months that I had more, it was so awesome to be that much more generous with people and just give.
So as we were talking about this scripture came to mind when we were talking about this the other day. When Jesus said this, from everyone who's been given much, much will be required. And from the one who's been entrusted with much, even more will be expected. And so I think it's interesting, like in Drew's journey, because there came a time when he's selling RVs where God's prompting him to have even more faith and to trust God even more. And I wanted you to talk about that a little bit in your faith and obedience, and how that actually, that faith and obedience, God's blessing is in that. And kind of some of the things that happened over the last year and a half.
So, I mean...
yeah, starting out with people and getting involved.
It started out like, for me and my wife, we joined a small group and just being obedient to that. And I gotta admit, like, my small group was a dumpster fire. So it's okay though, because we're people and we're pretty much like little mini dumpster fires walking around at any given time. But like, it wasn't what we expected. And I remember getting a call from one of the families that was in the small group one night, And they like called me out there and they're like, hey, Drew, we just need your help. And I go there. It was a whole mess of a situation. But by the end of it, like everybody was gonna be cool, everybody's gonna be all right. And I remember I was probably driving home around like 1 o'clock in the morning from that house back home and just thinking like, this is the best I've felt in years. Like, I'm emotionally drained, I'm physically drained, I am tired, but this is the best I've felt in years. And then after that, just that group kind of dissolved over time because of just other circumstances. But a few days later, after even leaving that house, I baptized the husband in the family. And then actually, no joke, like this wasn't planned or anything, but I was like on my Facebook, and yesterday they celebrated their 2-year anniversary as a wedded couple. You know, that was kind of part of their journey too. So, and they're doing great, and it's fantastic. Later on, I started out, well, after that, actually, I went to Ronnie. I was like, I think I'm called to this because like, it felt like super good, but I don't know what to do.
And I was like, it's about time for that you figured this out. Just because I'd seen this, and it's, you know, it's one of those things, people come upon that. And so we had this conversation about you being called to ministry, and you started a men's group, and then there was this point in time in that too, when it came to your job.
Yeah, so I worked for Patterson RV, and then it got bought out by Foundation RV. And I don't have anything really bad to say about Foundation, but it just wasn't the same environment. And they were kind of doing some downsizing. And I remember my boss, he kind of asked me, he was like, is your heart really in this? And I was like, not really. And he was like, well, do you mind if you just don't work here anymore? And I said, I'm okay with that. And it was like the easiest firing he ever did. He was like, thanks for making that really super easy for me, man. But I remember like approaching Ronnie, and he was like, well, if you got time, will you help me out here? And
No,
like,
you came to me. I'm going to say this. He came to me and he said, I want to help you build this, and you don't have to pay me anything. I believe in what we're doing, and I want to help you build this. And so he came on staff and wasn't paid.
Yeah, I mean,
scrub some toilets.
Yeah, we have 10 toilets, by the way. I know, because I've scrubbed them all. But yeah, it started out like that. And I remember like getting just unemployment for a while. And it was definitely a life change for me and my wife. Like, I was used to making like $14,000. We're used to going out to eat like whenever we felt like it. I had a golf membership. I'd go golf whenever I felt like it. And I remember like making these decisions, and her also making these sacrifices too to do this. Like, we scaled everything back. I gave up my golf membership. We gave up some streaming services. We changed everything to live off of my unemployment and her check. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, this should buy me enough time until I can get disability from.
That was a big deal for you too.
Yeah.
Being out of the military and finally applying for disability.
Yeah, that was, well, that kind of prompted me to do that too. I actually put that off for years and years and years because I'm like, I'm all right. I can walk and talk and I can work. I saw dudes like lose both their legs. Like, they needed disability, not me. So I kind of humbled myself.
Yeah.
Applied for disability. And I heard telling Ronnie, it's like, dude, if I get 90%, you'll never have to pay me. It'll be just enough. Like, my family will be just fine. And I remember coming up, and Monica and I kind of like, my unemployment's about to run out. And I'm sitting there thinking like, well, disability hasn't started yet. And I remember even going to Monica, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. And she kind of like, she told me, it's like, yeah. What are you thinking asking me that? You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And I felt like I was dragging my family into this mess because our lifestyle had changed so much. But anyways, disability got back, and it wasn't 90%, it was only 70. And I was like, boy, I really made a mistake. Like, how are we gonna do this?
And then you started getting paid a little bit.
Yeah.
Church-wise, and that whole journey for you, like,
yeah.
It's more than you needed. Well, it's what you needed.
Well, it's exactly what I needed, actually. I thought I needed 90%, but that 70% was exactly what I needed. And then I kept on going, and the church started paying me a little bit more, and lo and behold, I get 100%. And now it's way more than I need.
Yeah. So I think the thing in this is us just remembering, like, when we bless other people, like serving other people and saying, I'm going to come serve here, God gives us what we need. He's going to provide what we need, and he takes care of our needs. This verse we talked about last week, and we're going to kind of wrap this up, but for us to really get this, each of you should give what you decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion. God loves a cheerful giver. And God's able, this is the thing I want us to get, God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. God gives us what we need, even more, so that we can bless other people in this work. And we use what he's given us for his kingdom. We were talking the other day, and I wanted you to explain this just a little bit, but you said the other day, you talked about this whole thing about being a blessing to other people and how it's kind of selfish. And about being selfish and extending that blessing to other people.
I do think it's like, I feel selfish sometimes when I'm like blessing other people, because I don't know, I bless these other people because I do believe that Jesus needs to be in every inch of this city, every inch of this community. And the more and more of Jesus is in this community, the better it's going to be for me and my family. Like, so really, it's kind of selfish. Like, I want more people to know Jesus. I want more people to experience him. I want more people to know him intimately, because it's just going to make a better place. And then I get to live in that place. My kids get to grow up in that place. I mean, how awesome is that? So,
Is it selfish to say on earth as it is in heaven? You know, no.
it does feel that way sometimes. And then there's such joy from it. Like my buddy who got his car stolen, like there's such joy just knowing that he's gonna be able to take care of his family. That's one less thing you have to worry about. It's a joy sometimes to scrub the toilets. Just know, like, hey, they're clean. Other people are gonna enjoy this. So to serve people and be a service.
Some enjoy it more than others.
The farmer's market some days.
So just in this, like, understanding, like, his blessing isn't just like #blessed. This, like, it's not just for me. This is to be extended through me, through you. So this is what I wanted to do. Last week when y'all came in here, and those of you who are watching online, like, too bad you're not here. You weren't here last week. You're not here this week. Who knows what's going to happen next week? When you came in last week, someone handed you an envelope that had $10 in it, and it wasn't any kind of gimmick thing. It's actually, we don't deal with money a whole lot now. It's just swipe this, swipe that, you know. But to be able to look at this and go, like, God's given me all of this. Now, I prioritize him, and I put him first in this. But then this isn't all just this. The rest isn't just for me. I'm here to bless other people. And I know a lot of people last week, they're like, oh, that's awesome, but now you made me feel guilty, so I'm just going to put all this back in here, and we're just going to, like, no. Here's what I want you to do. Today, when you leave, someone's going to give you an envelope with $10 in it when you leave. I want you to pray and ask God and say, God, how do you want me to use this to bless other people? I want you to know, and in that moment, wherever you are, that the Spirit prompts you to then bless someone. This isn't for you, okay? But to actually to do this, to ask and to listen, to look around at needs, and then when prompted to act upon it, okay? So that's it. Would y'all stand? And I just want to read this over us this morning as a prayer. In Ephesians, Paul writes this: "For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name." This family from Abram, this descendants as numerous as the stars. I pray that out of his glorious riches, he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, through faith, through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the Lord's holy people. And no matter who you are today and where you are in life, I want you to be reminded of this: to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. And now to him who's able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask for or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, within you. To him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. God, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to be here in this place. And we come together knowing you are good. You created all of this. You know us by name. You have us here in this time and place for your reasons, for your purposes. And I ask that you would continue to remind us that we're here. We're here for you. We're here for other people. God, I ask that we see ourselves as your people here. You've given us gifts and talents and abilities. You've given us careers and jobs and all of these different things. It all comes from you. Give us that perspective. Give us the perspective to know that we'll be tempted to serve money, to become slaves. We'll lose our perspective, but for us to come back to you, for us to prioritize you, to put you first, to honor you with what you give us and return to you what's yours, and then also to not keep this to ourselves, but that we're here for other people, that we've been blessed by you, and we're to extend that blessing to others. May we live this out in the everyday and touch the lives of those around us so that they would see you as Lord, as God. And I pray this, Jesus, in your name. Amen.